the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys, two of the more historic and hated teams in the NFL. What might make people hate them even more? They wouldn't exist without each other. What?
That's right, boys.
Let's get into it.
Sports are history.
We'll go back to ye old 1959 in Dallas, Texas, where young Lamar Hunt was fresh out of SMU and flushed with his daddy's oil money. And what's a young Nepo baby to do with all that oil money but buy his favorite hobby, of course. And Lamar's favorite hobby was football. So he went knocking on the NFL's door asking for a football team, and they said, "Kick rocks. We're not interested in expanding the league. We've got 12 whole teams. Why would we possibly want more?" And then they sent him over to the Cardinals, saying maybe the Cardinals would be interested in selling you the team and you could move it to Dallas, but they weren't. So after a couple more failed attempts to get a team from the NFL, Lamar responded with,
I'm gonna go build my own theme park with blackjack and hookers.
Except instead of a theme park, it would be his own football league, and from what I know about the NFL, there's never been a shortage of blackjack or hookers. So Lamar started his own American Football League, and that's even what he would call it, the American Football League, or the AFL. He was to have his very own team in this league, in his own hometown of Dallas, Texas, of course, but not just because it was his hometown, but because the league, the NFL, had no presence in Texas at this time, or really anywhere in the middle of the country, and this is the demographic Lamar was going to go after. See, the popular thought at the time is that pro football would not work in Texas.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, see, they thought that high school and college football were so popular that there's just no way that people in Texas are going to spend their Friday nights watching high school football. Their Saturdays watching college football.
The entire
the students are now raining bottles down here. This is unfortunate.
And then Sunday, the Lord's day of all day, watching more football. People in Texas. To be fair to the NFL, they had tried pro football in Dallas already, and not long before this in 1952, the team even had the same name, the Texans, which may be where Lamar got the team name from. This team had come from New York, where they were the Yanks, and obviously you can't have a Yanks in Texas, so you name it after that state, right? However, this Dallas Texans in 1952 only lasted for a year before folding, and they had a lot of issues, the least of which I believe was being in Texas. So you'll also see in many places where this original Dallas, Texas team may have become the Colts, but that's not true. They completely folded, which left room for the second version, actually, of the Baltimore Colts, who are still the same Colts that we know of in Indianapolis. But they were the second. We are on the second version of the Colts. Little fact for you there. Now back to Lamar. Lamar was not deterred by that one failed year in Dallas for the NFL. He thought pro football could work not just in Texas, but in the middle of the country where the NFL, again, had no presence. So he would set his eyes on two cities, his in Dallas in the south, and Minneapolis up in the north. Now, what happens in Minneapolis is it's for another video. It's fun, and I'll have that one as well eventually. But Lamar now gets his own league going and finds some other owners rather quickly to join his new league. See, many of these other owners had also been denied franchises by the NFL. In fact, Lamar learned about these other owners because while he was trying to get his own franchise with the NFL officials kept asking him if he knew these other rich-ass people trying to get an NFL team in their own city. Which, finally gave Lamar the idea of why don't I just contact these other guys and we'll start our own league? These rich-ass dudes who got together to form the AFL, they would call themselves the Foolish Club after their foolish attempt to take on the NFL, or what seemed like one anyways. But I'm not just calling them rich-ass dudes for nothing. See, they had more money than most of the NFL owners at the time, and, well, that scared the hell out of the NFL. See, the NFL had spent the latter part of the 40s competing with another football league, the All-American Football Conference, and it cost them quite a bit of money and effort ousting them. So the NFL, seeing this competition coming down the road that had more money than it did, it got quite scared and was now very open to expanding the league. They said, come on over, guys, bring your teams, bring your cities. There's plenty of room.
Look at all the sports space. So many aerobics in here. So many activities.
So the NFL offered to buy out about half the AFL, right? They were going to, they made Lamar a deal where, hey, we will take your team in Dallas, we'll take the team in Houston, the Oilers, we'll take that franchise you want to start in Minneapolis, real interested about them, and the one in Buffalo even. See, they already had a team in New York and LA, and they didn't want another one there. They had tried teams in Boston and just thought it was too much of a baseball town to sustain football. And they were not interested in Denver at all. They saw it as a cold, putrid, desolate city that could never sustain an NFL team. But not the hero of Denver, Lamar Hunt, who believed in Denver fully. Lamar Hunt and the AFL owners, they would band together, right? And they would stick together to say, we need to fight this league. Nobody accept their offer. You know, Lamar turned down that original offer for those 4 teams. The NFL would go after some teams and try to snipe them individually, but the AFL owners banded together and would not budge. Except Minneapolis. They did budge. That's another video. So with the NFL not being able to buy out the AFL and kill it before it even started, they decided they would place their own team in Dallas to directly compete with Lamar's and the AFL.
Give me a home where the billionaires roam and the oil and the cattlemen play.
Now, the NFL now being the ones getting turned down by the richest oil nepo baby in Texas, decided to go after the second richest oil nepo baby in Texas, Clint Murchison Jr. Didn't actually check if he was the second richest oil baby in Texas. I mean, how many rich oil nepo babies? Never mind. God. Okay, so the NFL decides to go after just another rich oil nepo baby in Texas, or even in Dallas, Clint Murchison Jr. Murchison had also tried and failed to buy an NFL team before this. He almost got the Washington Redskins at one point, but the sale fell through and it left some bad blood between Clint Murchison Jr. and the owner of the Washington Redskins, his all-time asshole, George Preston Marshall.
Mean kid, bad seed, hurt people.
Fun little side note here with George Preston Marshall is that he really didn't want a team further south than his own in the NFL. See, at the time, they were the only team south of the Mason-Dixon line and saw themselves as the sole team to represent the nation's South, and they did not want to give up that moniker. The NFL, however, needed the approval of all the owners to expand the league, so this caused a roadblock at a time in which the league needed to act fast to get their own team in Dallas. So Clint Murchison Jr. would find himself a bargaining chip. He was able to acquire the rights to Washington's fight song, Hail to the Redskins. He was able to do so because George Preston Marshall, being the gem of a human he is, pissed off the composer and holder of the song rights, Bernie Breeskin. So Clint Murchison Jr. purchased those rights from Bernie Breeskin, and he told George Preston Marshall if he wanted the song back, he'd have to allow the expansion to go through. And well, how can you have a football team without a fight song?
That would be insane.
So George Preston Marshall accepted the offer, and in 1960, Dallas would go from having no professional football teams to having 2. Lamar's Dallas Texans in the AFL, and the team created solely to compete with the NFL's Dallas Cowboys. The Texans would be more successful on the field, but the Cowboys were in the more established league and therefore more successful in ticket sales. See, most expansion teams that join an established league are usually pretty terrible at first, but fans are already familiar with the teams and the players in that league, and that's who they're going to show up for at first. Fans also didn't think that the product in the AFL was as good as the NFL. They weren't as familiar with those players, and it didn't matter how good the Texans were doing in the AFL, they wanted that real deal NFL. Nothing will make this more clear than just by looking at the 3 years the Texans and Cowboys shared Dallas. The Cowboys in those 3 years didn't have a single winning season and only won a total of 9 games, including their first season where they didn't win a single game. The Texans in their first 3 years, on the other hand, had 2 winning seasons, and in that third year, they won the AFL championship and had MVP of the league quarterback Len Dawson. Yet it was after this year that Lamar was forced to move his team out of his hometown of Dallas, being unable to compete with the NFL. Lamar, still wanting a presence in the middle of the country, moved his team right to the heart of the country, Kansas City, Missouri. It also didn't hurt that Kansas City was going to allow them to use their municipal stadium rent-free, guarantee them a home attendance of 25,000, and was a relatively easy drive from Dallas. But there we have the Kansas City Chiefs. So without Lamar placing his team in Dallas, the NFL never creates the Dallas Cowboys to compete with him. And if the NFL never creates the Dallas Cowboys to compete with Lamar, Lamar's never forced to move his team up to Kansas City and become the Chiefs. So technically, the Chiefs franchise would still exist, but not as the Chiefs and not Kansas City. Us here in Kansas City may still not have a team to cheer for. And while the fans in Dallas may have a team to cheer for, it would probably look a lot different. There's probably no Landry or Staubach or Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones, so, not all bad. You could even make the argument that if it wasn't for Lamar and the AFL, we wouldn't have half the league. But that's also an oversimplification. There's a lot of people that were responsible for creating a lot of those teams, and you probably don't want to hear a Chiefs fan tell you how it's, his team's founder that's responsible for half the teams, but it was certainly a catalyst to get most of those teams created. So to end this whole thing, let's bring it back to the Chiefs and Cowboys. These two fan bases find themselves at somewhat of a crossroads. Should the Chiefs and Cowboys fans thank each other for their teams, maybe join up and form a supervillain group, perhaps invite the Patriots? Or should they see each other as their original rivals before either team even stepped onto the football field and long before they ever faced each other in a game? Let me know what you think in the comments. Give me a like and subscribe if you're so inclined, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, thanks, bye.